Tonight, on the heels of President Trump signing his massive domestic policy bill into law, his former close ally, Elon Musk, announcing the formation of a new political party. Musk, the world's richest person, taking to his social media site X to say, "We live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom." Musk, who was President Trump's top campaign donor, has been feuding with the president over the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, which the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says will add more than $3 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. Musk has referred to the legislation as a debt slavery bill and had been teasing a new political party for days.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. Whatever Elon Musk says, especially if he's telling you that he cares about your freedom, be very, very skeptical. The reason that Elon Musk and his fellow tech oligarchs feel so aggrieved is that the democracy in which they live has deigned to regulate their activities. Their worldview is so deeply solipsistic that Musk and Thiel and a handful of others truly believe that they should be able to operate beyond the interference of lesser human beings, beyond government regulation, beyond the law. If it were just that, a disdain for government meddling in their affairs, I suppose one could attribute it to libertarian idealism, but it is so much darker than that. Most people I talk to have a hard time believing this when I first tell them, but Musk and Thiel have an honest-to-God, pun intended, messianic complex. They believe they are superhumans, Ubermenschen, if you will. They engage in some incredibly bizarre life extension treatments, seriously. And Musk himself is working towards the day when humans can upload their consciousness to computers, because immortality is their goal. I can't imagine anything more self-centered than that. So this stunt about launching a new political party to safeguard our freedoms, to truly understand how cynical Musk's participation in politics is, you have to understand at a deep level the mindset that drives him. Kris Goldsmith, as an extremism researcher whose work has led him to cover these tech oligarchs, takes us deep into their worldview. This is part 2 of our conversation. If you thought the first one was wild, brace yourselves.
And to get back to Elon Musk, like the reason why he wants to implant chips in other people's brains and wants to do it without regulation is because he believes that, you know, the singularity where man and machine become basically combined, no different from one another. He believes that that is achievable in his lifetime. And his goal with things like the Doggy Committee, the Doge boys, right, is to deregulate everything, including medicine, so that he can have human test subjects getting computer chips wired to their brains so that by the time that he is elderly, he can upload his consciousness into a brain and fly that consciousness to Mars. That is literally Elon Musk's plan. That is what everything, whether it's investing in renewables, the point of investing in Tesla was to fund his rocket ships. The reason why he's doing these rocket ships things, it is to go to Mars and to live eternally in a computer on another planet where he is the ruler. I know that sounds crazy and conspiratorial because it is. It is a crazy and conspiratorial idea, but these people haven't been quiet about this, right? And only what I think is an unfortunate fact is that mainstream journalists, mainstream columnists at institutions like the New York Times that I have a connection to and I love and respect, they just do not have extremism researchers sitting over their shoulder to contextualize all of the crazy shit that people are saying right to their face.
We're going to have to do a whole episode on that, but that worldview, and I don't think you're doing it justice. I mean, the lengths that they are going to right now to actually achieve this outcome of living forever are really extreme. The longevity treatments, the blood transfusions on a regular basis from like young people. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, at the end of the day, it just seems so spiritually vacuous. to think that the reason you're here is to never leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not to leave a legacy. It's not to impart your wisdom to the people who are coming after you. In my case, that's my kids. Not everyone has kids, but they can do that with the people in their lives, with their students, whatever. They're replacing that with individuality, like the single personhood being the most important thing. It just, God, I mean, I wouldn't want to live forever for a lot of reasons, but living forever with that mindset seems really horrible.
This idea of living forever, of not having a legacy, but of always being there, of always being present. That is the core of the desire of these tech oligarchs. It is everlasting life. And that is why they talk about things like the Antichrist and these, prophecies, because Peter Thiel wants to live forever. And he wants the rest of us to be test subjects for government, for medicine, for industry, so that the rest of us can suffer the consequences and he can pick and choose his best options so that he could never die.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Quick break to say thank you to everyone who's been following and supporting this show and this channel. None of it happens without you. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my Substack page, I'd really appreciate the follow. It's a great way to make sure you never miss an episode. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks, every dollar goes back into the show. Just search for The Ken Harbaugh Show on Substack or click the link below. Thanks. It's going to get a little personal here, but I'm wondering if fatherhood has given you an added layer of perspective on this, because I look at someone like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and their ambitions for eternal life, and I see very clearly someone who does not have a lot of love in their lives, right? It's just clear as day to me that this is a deeply sad and lonely person. And I think I come to that perspective as a dad, right? I know the difference. I know what I'm looking at when I see Peter Thiel and the desperation for eternal life.
Yeah, a lot of these men are damaged. But yeah, as a father, I've been a dad for 5 weeks and 1 day today, as of the day that we're recording this. And I see these damaged men and recognize the responsibility to be a good dad. Because these guys did not have good dads. And they are a large part of the reason that they are causing so much damage, not just to the United States, not just to democracy, but to the earth, to the planet. Peter Thiel was talking about how Greta Thunberg might be the Antichrist because she talks about global warming. And meanwhile, he's like, let's just fucking burn everything down so that I can live forever, right? That's why he thinks she's the Antichrist, which is cognitive dissonance. Yeah,
that's projection if ever there was.
So Elon Musk had an abusive father. He grew up in an environment where apartheid was not just normalized, but it was like something that his family really liked. Like he believes in that races should be, divided, that there is racial superiority. Peter Thiel was, for most of his adult life, a closeted gay man. And we have seen the damage that Republican or conservative closeted gay men, can do to themselves and then to bring outward externally to the world. This is a man who's fundamentally uncomfortable with himself in existential ways. That's why it really hates the trans community. Like he sees them as lesser, even though he's struggling to come to terms with who he is and how he is. This all goes back to like, if these people just had good parents who gave them the love and attention that they needed to help them understand that the world is not there for them to exploit and other people are not there for them to experiment on and cause harm to for their own betterment, like the world would be a better place. Yeah. So it's a long fucking answer, but
it's a good one.
Like I think that every parent, should recognize the damage that one single individual can do. If they are unloved.
This is going to seem non sequitur, but I think it relates, and I'm sure you'll figure out how to tie it all together. But what do you make of these tech bros in Silicon Valley who are now getting commissioned as O5s and O6s in the U.S. military, having conveniently somehow missed the longest wars in America's history? They're now slapping on uniforms and charging the virtual barricades as tech warriors. I find it laughable. I wish more people were mocking it.
Yeah. So the direct commission process for these tech bros to become lieutenant colonels is not necessarily new. It is something that was being developed, in particular, this kind of brand of it was being developed during the Biden administration. And the justification for it is they believe that that leadership and technology development and the way that workplaces work in the military are slow, are hampering progress, which is, that is what Silicon Valley is obsessed with kind of destroying, right? Move fast and break stuff is like the Mark Zuckerberg's like slogan. And it is not just Trump Republicans who've wanted to take CEOs from the tech world and give them commissions and throw them into the military. But what might have been a good idea 4 years ago might be incredibly destructive today. I mean, that is the democracy that we live under. We saw the Biden administration, assume that things were not changing, assume that we were still living in the same old world. That's why, Trump was not prosecuted for his role in the insurrection. That's why, they dragged their feet on, that's why the Democratic Party at large dragged their feet on really imposing not just political, but legal consequences on all of the Republicans, like the current Speaker of the House, who was participating in trying to overturn the election. We are not living in that same world. It is, I think, fair to say that there are bad people who are trying to cause harm to other Americans to advantage themselves and to take away the rights and the liberties of other Americans. So it may on its face feel like it's clownish to take these tech CEOs and inject them into the military. But I think it is also profoundly dangerous. Whereas if there were adults in the room, not Pete Hegseth, running the Department of Defense, but someone who is actually like, going to guide these programs responsibly, like maybe we could see some good come out of this. But with Pete Hegseth at the helm, who's doing everything that he can to like ingrain white supremacy in the military, having tech CEOs who are aligned with the administration coming in as lieutenant colonels in charge of, I would guess, 800 to 1,200 people. That seems dangerous to me. And
tech CEOs specifically in the AI and mass surveillance sectors that if ever alarm bells should be going off, it's over that. Kris, as always, thanks, man. We're probably going to have to split this into 2 episodes, but it's a good one. Go take care of that beautiful little girl of yours. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, brother.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.